Genesis 11. The whole earth had a common language and a common vocabulary. When the people moved eastward, they found a plain in Shinar and settled there. Then they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had brick instead of stone and tar instead of mortar. Then they said, "Come, let's build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. Otherwise we will be scattered across the face of the entire earth." But the Lord came down to see this city and the tower that the people had started building. And the Lord said, if as one people, all sharing a common language, they have begun to do this, then nothing they plan to do will be beyond them. Come, let's go down and confuse their language, so they won't be able to understand each other. So the Lord scattered them from there across the face of the entire earth, and they stopped building the city. That is why its name was called Babel, because there the Lord confused the language of the entire world, and from there the Lord scattered them across the face of the entire earth. This is the account of Shem. Shem was 100 years old when he became the father of Arphaxad. 2 years after the flood, and after becoming the father of Arphaxad, Shem lived 500 years and had other sons and daughters. When Arphaxad had lived 35 years, he became the father of Shelah. And after he became the father of Shelah, Arphaxad lived 403 years and had other sons and daughters. When Shelah had lived 30 years, he became the father of Eber. After he became the father of Eber, Shelah lived 403 years, and he had other sons and daughters. When Eber had lived 34 years, he became the father of Peleg. And after he became the father of Peleg, Eber lived 430 years and had other sons and daughters. When Peleg had lived 30 years, he became the father of Reu. And after he became the father of Reu, Peleg lived 209 years and had other sons and daughters. When Reu had lived 32 years, he became the father of Serug, and after he became the father of Serug, Reu lived 207 years and had other sons and daughters. When Serug had lived 30 years, he became the father of Nahor, and after he became the father of Nahor, Serug lived 200 years and had other sons and daughters. Now Nahor lived 29 years when he became the father of Terah, and after he became the father of Terah, Nahor lived 119 years and had other sons and daughters. When Terah had lived 70 years, he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. This is the account of Terah. Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran became the father of Lot. Haran died in the land of his birth, in Ur of the Chaldeans. While his father Terah was still alive, and Abram and Nahor took wives for themselves, the name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife was Milcah. She was the daughter of Haran, who was the father of both Milcah and Iscah. But Sarai was barren. She had no children. Terah took his son Abram, his grandson Lot, the son of Haran, and his daughter-in-law Sarai, his son Abram's wife, and with them he set out from Ur of the Chaldeans to go to Canaan. When they came to Haran, they settled there. The lifetime of Terah was 205 years, and he died in Haran. All right, there we go. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, 87% of the time. Yes, that's about true. I've done a couple of them where I start and then I go, oops, comment, let's restart over again. So we've got this phrase that repeats of this is a new section. This is a new section. So first we're going to finish the story after the flood. After the flood, people are going out. We've got the table of nations. So the earth is being populated, and there's a group of people, and they decide to make with bricks instead of stone. When we have instructions on how to make altars, you do it with uncut stones. You don't use brick. Here, they begin to make bricks, and they're trying to make, basically, the idea would be a ziggurat. If you've ever seen those in Babylon, a ziggurat. So like a staircase kind of tower going up. And part of the idea is that you build the tower up as a staircase, not that you are going up to heaven, but so that the God can come down. And so if the gods come down, what has happened actually happens. God comes down to see what they're doing. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're not trying to honor God and praise God. They're trying to say, look at us. We're better than every other group of people. And we have the third of the three different things that the Messiah is supposed to restore. So we have the fall in Genesis 3. We have the beginning in Genesis 6 of the Nephilim and that whole incident and situation there. And now we have the languages being upside down and overturned. So when we're reading what Jesus does, and then we read the book of Acts is an overturning of the Tower of Babel, if you don't know that or you've not heard that. I've run into people recently who did not know that, and I was like really surprised by that. I'm like, it just seems so obvious to me that that would be part of it. But, you know, not everyone has heard that. So just pointing that out here, that this is one of the things that the Messiah who is to come is supposed to do, and that is going to get overturned. Let me know if the ads actually start. I hit snooze on it, I thought. So this is where we get they're doing all of this with one common language. If we split their language up, they won't be able to work together, which is an interesting thing because even now when we are able to have commerce language and universal language and interpreters and getting really close to just, well, I think we're there actually, but it's not accessible to everybody. I just have my phone and I have my earbud and I can hear a translation of what you say in another language in my ear. And I could even make videos of myself in my own voice in another language that you could watch. And we're really close to Google doing an automatic AI translation of the language you want to listen to a video in, so you won't be limited to the language it was made in. So, like fascinating ideas of where we are of undoing this entirely. But they scatter. Why do they scatter? Well, I'm going to hang out with the people that speak my language. You know what I've always wondered, maybe I don't hear a lot of people thinking about this. Did literal families, like husband and wife or sons and daughters, end up speaking a different language than their parents? I mean, that would be a weird thing, wouldn't it, to have happen? To suddenly have your parents speak a different language than you do and you can't communicate anymore, or your spouse. I find that thought fascinating. I don't know anybody's ever talked about that much, or possibly, but anyway. So then we shift again to the account of Shem. Why are we getting the account of Shem? Because we are getting to the next story. So we're going to get the genealogy working its way down until we get to the next character of story that we want to know about, and that is the family of Abraham. So we're just going to skip ahead to that. So Terah is 70 years old when he became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. So notice Abram is mentioned first. Abram is going to be the oldest of the children. We know later on in the story that his wife Sarai is a sister to him. So we have Terah became the father of Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Haran became the father of Lot. So we have the youngest suddenly getting children mentioned first. We had a little flip earlier with that, so no a surprise, but just take note of it. gave birth in his homeland in Ur of the Chaldeans. The phrase Chaldeans in the latter editorial clarification for the reader designating the location Ur. From all evidence, there would have been no Chaldeans in existence at this early time. They're also known in the Neo-Babylonian Empire in the first millennium. Depending on where you look at a map, some put this below on the Tigris-Euphrates River. I forget which one it is. South of Baghdad, way down there. Others place it up in the mountains up north. I'm inclined to put it in at the top in the north, not the lower one. There's two places, both called Ur. What becomes the Babylonians come from the mountains in the north and move southward. So if it's going back more ancient, that makes sense to me. So I don't think it matters. It's telling us that that's where it's at. So he's traveling, and he happens to be traveling on his way to Canaan. Did he get a vision or a call from God to do this? That's an interesting thought. Stopping in Haran to settle there, is that a problem along the way? I don't think so. We don't have anything calling him. We have Abraham being called, though. Just look at the world now. Basically, pride is inevitable, and starting with the garden and progress. I wonder if that is why God made a promise to himself to not destroy the earth again. Out of inevitable frustration that he foresaw happened with our continued pride. Well, there's definitely the continued pride. Silver Sonic, thank you for the spot of tea. Earl Grey today, baby. Earl Grey. A spot of tea. Okay, finish this before we get ads coming in. Terah took his son Abraham, his grandson Lot, the son of Haran. Okay, I thought that's not what I was looking for. Must have been up here. Here it is. And Abram and Nahor took wives for themselves. The name of Abram's wife is Sarai, and the name of Nahor's wife is Milcah. What do we have on here? Sarai, a variant of Sarah, means princess or lady. And Milcah means queen. So we have princess and queen. Their wives' names are princess and queen, which I find fascinating. So they're all going to go and settle in the land. And we have this little tidbit that Sarai is barren. Why do we have that Sarai is barren? She had no children. It's going to become more important when we get into the story of Abraham and Sarah. So it's important here. I'll say more about it when we get to that part. All right, ads coming.